to share with you just some little things that I've discovered that destroy marriages. Yes, I have been working with married couples and married individuals for many, many years now. As a pastor for 20 years and as a coach for about 5 years. And there are a few things that look so small, but if you don't care, if you don't take care of them, you can destroy your marriage. And I just want to share some of those things here today and also take some time to connect with you online, wherever you are. Um, Now the first thing I want to talk about is expectation. I think it's the biggest one. When you expect your spouse to make your day, if that's your goal, you just have this mindset that my husband or my wife is going to be responsible for my joy, is going to be responsible for my peace, is going to be responsible for making me have all these things that I didn't have while I was growing up. That mindset destroys marriages a lot. It's so little, very subtle, but I found that it is one of the biggest hurdles that I have to deal with when working with people in their marriage. And the way it shows up is that people tell me things like, "How can I be happy when my husband or my wife is doing blah blah blah? How can I be at peace when my spouse or husband does this and that, and they are not willing to change? Why do you want me to be at peace or to have a joyful life without changing the other person?" When you have that mindset, it means that you were expecting that you're going to have a great life, a better, more joyful life based on how your husband or your wife shows up in the marriage. Now, I don't think that is wrong completely, but what I want to highlight here is that if you discover that your spouse is not behaving the way you want, then you need to readjust your expectation so that you continue to have your joy and your peace, even when your spouse is not doing what you expect them to do. That is what I'm talking about here. So everyone that gets married because they expect that their life is going to be better than when they were single, and they already experience it's better. No one would ever get married if they're having a stressful life, if they're having a lot of pain in their courtship or when they were going dating. Yes. And so if you know that you were not experiencing pain doing when dating, you're not going to expect pain when married. Hi, Shark. Good to have you here. Yeah, so you're not going to expect pain when you are married. So we all get into marriage hoping that the marriage will make life continue to be as good as it is, even before we get even before we got married. Hey, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Shark. Yes, I'm just talking about um marriage and what are some of the things that makes marriage break. And the first point is the expectation. You When you expect that it will be your spouse that will make you have a better, a more joyful life, rather than understanding that that will come mostly from you. Now, nobody wants to get into marriage and struggle in the marriage. So I understand why a lot of people feel that, you know what, if my spouse is not going to do the right thing, then I'm going to be struggling. It's going to be a messed up life. But I want to give you a pointer here that it's not always like that. You can change things. You can change things. All right. Um, why not? Why not? I can do a lot for anything. If you are here and you enjoy what I'm saying, you stay. If you don't, of course, you have freedom to keep going, to keep moving. Facebook Lives are for discussing and chatting with anyone that wants to connect on a topic. And so the topic for today is the little things that make marriages struggle. If you're not married, you may not enjoy this. So that's all right. You're free to move on. But for those who are married and want to engage on this discussion, you are free to jump in and share your thoughts on that. So that's the first thing. Expectations. If you have the wrong expectation, you're going to experience pain and struggle in your marriage. So what expectations should someone have for marriage? I believe the best way to approach marriage is to come with a joyful, peaceful mind yourself. You should be comfortable in your own skin and have a clear understanding of how your life should be before you get into marriage. And so when you're in the marriage, you continue with that mindset and you inspire your spouse to also be the same. So it's two people who are having a good time, two people who are enjoying their lives that can have a good marriage. You need two people who have made up their minds that they are doing well and they want to share their life with others to have a good marriage. Yes. Yes. So let's talk about what it means to have a solid, joyful, peaceful life before you think of getting married. Now, most times when people get married, they are they find someone that attracts them. So you're attracted to this beautiful lady or a handsome man, and you begin to connect, and you enjoy how they make you feel. And because you enjoy how they make you feel, you figure that if they continue to make you feel like that, then you're going to have a good life. You're going to have a good marriage. But once you start to live together, you may discover some of the challenges, some of the pain that some of the hurt that they have carried, and they bring it into their marriage, bring it to you. So they begin to complain about what you're doing or what you're not doing, and that's when pains begin. That's when struggle and trouble begins. So when you find that, I want to encourage you that when you find that your spouse has begun to complain, what you must do then is to choose from the depth of your heart that you're not going to fall into that trap of giving tit for tat. When they hurt you, you're going to hurt them back. When they complain, you're going to try to complain about something else. But rather, you're going to come with a mindset that, look, you may be hurt, and you may be struggling, whatever you're complaining about, I'm going to be the other side. I'm going to bring solutions. I'm going to bring healing. I'm going to bring blessings to the marriage. And that's how we we stop the process of destroying the marriage based on the wrong expectations. The next thing I want to talk about that really breaks marriages is what I call disrespect or lack of attention. So disrespect in the sense that we lose value for the spouse. You can lose value for your spouse in the sense that you look at them and you only want to use them to fulfill your own goals. You begin to look at your spouse as a tool that you use for your own pleasure. That's extreme disrespect. But most times people do that um not intentionally. We do that because we are just self-centered beings. So we try to use our spouses and as extensions of ourselves. So you need to catch yourself from doing that, stop yourself from doing that, by making sure that you look at your spouse and you value what they bring into the marriage. You make up your mind that, you know what, this person has a lot of value to bring into my marriage, into the marriage that we have, and I'm going to honor them for who they are. And what does that mean? You give them freedom. So the best way to respect someone is to give freedom, freedom to be themselves. You accept them for who they are. and whatever weaknesses they have, you can address them, but you give them the room and the freedom to make those adjustments themselves. So when we're dealing with one another, with your spouse, when you're dealing with your spouse, you have three options of what you can do. If you don't like them, you don't like what they're doing, you have a choice to leave them, the relationship. Yes, that's your choice. You have another choice is to stay in the relationship and figure out how to make the relationship work better. The third option you have is to complain about the relationship and have a miserable life, but not leave. You can do any of those three. What you cannot do is to force them to make changes. They cannot change. You can't change them. And the last option where I talked about you staying in the relationship and being miserable, that nobody likes that. So we can cross that out. And what you want to do in a relationship is, if you're choosing to stay in the relationship, is figure out how to be in the relationship and be a a solution to the problems that you have in the relationship, right? So those are just 2 points. There may be more, but I want to connect with you guys that are online with me there. Crazy Kid, how are you? Luke, good to see you. Normandy, good to have you here. Welcome, welcome. Are there anyone of you married there? If you're married, and you're live with me, let me know. If you are not married but you are in a relationship, let me know. I would like to connect with you. So disrespect is a very big one. And disrespect shows up in many ways. For women, they don't want to be ignored. It's disrespectful to have someone in your home and you ignore them. It's very disrespectful. But women don't really call it disrespect. They say, "I don't feel loved. I don't feel that I'm valued for who I am. I feel like invisible." That's the words that most women would use when they feel disrespected by their spouse. But for men, disrespect doesn't look like that. Disrespect look like the words that you use to describe what you're saying. Words that seem to say you're not smart. Words that seem to say I'm smarter than you. Or words that make a spouse, your husband, feel like um you are not doing what I want you to do, what I expect you to do, what is right. These are the kind of things that make a man feel disrespected. Most men marry women that are younger than them or less than them in status because they like the way they feel when their wife looks up to them. They just enjoy that feeling of, oh, you are my knight in shining armor. In other words, you are my prince charming. You've come to be a blessing to me. That feeling makes a man attracted to a woman. And so when a man finds in a relationship that the wife thinks that she's smarter than him, a wife thinks that he is not capable of doing what he needs to do or needs to be as a husband, he feels very disrespectful. And so this disrespect, when allowed to stay for a while, can make the man become resentful. And when he's resentful, he begins to ignore her and disconnect from her, doesn't want to engage with her. And when he doesn't engage with her, she's going to begin to feel disrespected, ignored, and undervalued. And all other kinds of pains and hurt come in and break the marriage and destroy the marriage. So those are two things. So I talked about expectation. Now I talk about disrespect. Before I go on, if you are live with me and you're married, let me know. Say type yes in the group. I want to connect with you. If you are not yet married, of course, married, you can say not yet, and you can still learn from what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about little things, insignificant things, so to say, that hurt marriages. From my experience as a love coach, as I've been coaching people now online for more than 5 years, and as a pastor, I've been helping people with marriages for 20 years, and I've been married myself for 21 years in August. So I've seen all of these things with friends and with neighbors, colleagues. The things that break marriages are not always so big. Uh, Even things like infidelity, where does it come from? Is disrespect. When you cheat on your spouse, it's because you have reduced their value to you to such an insignificant amount. And it's not like you don't care. It's because you got someone that was meeting your need in ways that you wanted, in a selfish way. So what makes a woman cheat on her husband, or what makes a husband cheat on his wife? Because if they met someone who is meeting a need that they have, which is maybe a need to be valued, to be respected, to be honored, to be given the freedom to be themselves, and so they like it, they derive pleasure from it, and so they just continue to press on, and before you know it, they're tied, entangled in an affair or of infidelity. So what I wanted to just jump on live to share with you are some of these things, so that you can look into your own marriage, and make sure that you don't let some of these negatives creep in. You don't let disrespect come into your marriage. You don't let expectations that your spouse cannot meet come into your marriage. One other thing that I would like to talk about before I jump off this live stream is um, external influences. All right. And I'm just going to mention that in sense that a lot of times I discover that people don't know what to expect in marriages. So they look around them and they see, oh, this person has done this for their spouse. Or their friend tells them, this is what your spouse should be doing to you. This is the type of behavior that you should demand in your marriage. And those external influences get into the marriage and begin to poison the marriage. And what I want to share with you is that, look, there is no designer, nowhere, anywhere that you can find what a marriage should look like. What you should determine in your own heart is that I want to have a joyful, peaceful marriage. And I'm going to do what I find to do to help my spouse have that. So when you have that mindset that, okay, this marriage between two of us, I'm not going to let external influences come and mess up my marriage. I'm going to rather, within me, between me and my spouse, between you and your spouse, we're going to determine how we want our marriage to be. And we're going to work at it. Whatever we've brought into the marriage, that's what we have right now. We're not going to give up on it. We're going to try to improve it. We're not going to try to compare it with others, but rather we're going to improve it. So, what this does is that takes your marriage from wherever it is and leads it in the direction that you want it to be. It doesn't have to be perfect today. Your marriage doesn't have to be perfect today, but it needs to be moving in the direction that you want it to be. And so that's what you do. So you choose not to allow the thoughts and the comments from people around you to impact your marriage negatively, but rather you choose from within you how you want your marriage to be, and you stick to that and keep working at that and keep moving towards that direction. All right. So, yeah, I just wanted to pop in today briefly on this beautiful sunny day while I'm hanging out on my porch. So, share a few tips with you, things to watch out for in your marriage. And those are the three things I have for today. If I pop in again another time, I'll continue from where I stopped. Expectations, make sure that your expectations are not that your spouse will make you happy, but rather that you will be a blessing to your spouse. You bring all kinds of goodies from your personality into the marriage. That's the first one. Second one is, don't take your husband or your wife for granted and bring disrespect into it. Disrespect can show up in many ways, and generally looks like, I'm more valuable than you, or you're not valuable enough, or I can't afford to continue with you unless you improve. Those thoughts. That's what brings disrespect, or just ignoring the value that your spouse brings. And the third thing is external influences. When people around you share stuff with you, don't allow yourself to compare. yourself with another marriage. Rather, compare yourself with your marriage, improving. Just say, well, what were we last week? How can we get better next week? And just keep growing, just keep getting better. Make up your mind that my marriage is going to get better and better, and that's what you need. All right. So yeah, if you're there and you want to say hello, go ahead. If you have a question for me, I'll be happy to answer your question. And yeah, God bless you. Bye for now.